Well, we're going to talk about all the news that is news across the street at the supermarket. All the news. All the news.
So some is older, or we're in the middle of it.
Okay, so we talk about fake news. We talk about, look, we're an interesting couple wherein you ask, what happened to your Diet Coke? Are you trying to hide the fact that you've had 15 of them?
I haven't had. I need a new one.
Well, you need one of those red buttons that the Trump has.
I do. I do need a red Diet Coke button.
Need one of them, the red
the
buttons.
nuclear Diet Coke button.
Nuclear. I had that installed. You had to have sniffed when you did that. Yeah, you had that installed.
I know.
Anyway, my point is we talk about weird stuff like, why does this happen? Why doesn't this happen? Why does this happen in the legal sense? Because you like law and order. You have an investigation. I'm quoting you right now because I don't know much about this law and order. You have an investigation, and then you have the legal part. The investigation, so you have the police stuff, and then you have all the court stuff. And this leaves you satisfied at the end of an hour of, ooh.
You have a resolution.
You have a resolution.
And most of the time you have a understanding of how it occurred and how the system handles it, processes
and so
it.
you've got a few questions for me here. We got a few cases out there that are rolling on the news and on the.
So you name the subject, and I'll
there.
ask the questions. Like you say which one.
Well, you were rifling through all the Koberger, the information drop, the case
documents,
the documents, the photographs, the all sorts of things, and
well, the crime scene photos came out today.
Okay,
they were released to the media today. So the media is processing them. There's over 200. There are only a few. They're only releasing a few at a time for whatever reason. Probably
just to prolong the clickbait.
Probably, yeah.
Okay,
it's business, I guess, right? So
business is business.
So I was looking at those, like, wow, okay. There's blurred things, but there's a lot. Yeah, it's an interesting dump there. But, before I'd had questions about, throughout this, I haven't understood why or how Brian Koberger chose that house or chose those people, because it seems, and today also, not only was with the crime scene photos, there was the full security video. So the comeback, like, we've just seen clips of the stuff. We saw the whole thing. There was rumors the DoorDash driver, blah, blah, blah. Okay, had seen him, was going to testify. I believe, like, she had passed cars. The cars had passed. There was not a park next to each other factor. So I can't remember why I was saying that part.
I can put this thread together, though, because we talked a lot about it, and I remember the frustration. I mean, even President Trump wants to know what's going on.
Yeah, why?
What's the confession? He's like, I don't see why.
Why them?
Why them? I don't see why anything. I don't see. It's interesting that this man has time to. It seems like he follows.
He's a diverse person, and so do I. I have time for
all sorts of stuff.
Diversity. We fit it in somehow.
Somehow, it's true. So let's carry on. Let's go with that. Okay, so we have. There's been a media interference in most cases of magnitude.
Yeah.
Or that are, talked about and being, let's say they're being adjudicated, they're being talked about amongst the public. So the court of public opinion. And so we've heard a lot of things that we assume to be fact. I assumed many things to be fact in this case. Come to find out, they weren't even close to fact.
Like what?
Well, for example, the in and out, how quickly he was in and how quickly he was out. That was completely fabricated by somebody somewhere along the line.
Right.
I mean,
it was based on this surveillance video.
Right.
But all it does really, I think, is show cars coming in and going.
Right.
It's a next door house, a next door neighbor.
Right.
But the back of the house, so a different direction. But
So the confusion sets in, and defense attorneys get really, really, really frustrated with these types of things. But, prosecutors and law enforcement have their own frustrating pieces too. So let's talk about a little bit of that.
Okay.
I'm sitting here representing an individual back in the day that has... There's 2 or 3 victims in the case, or in this case, you've got 4 in Kohlberger, or 1 in the Karen Reed case, or so you have victims, and I am not able to interview the victims. I'm not able to talk with them, and not all victims meet their maker in the case. Some are just injured, or some are just part of the case as a victim. Okay. Most of the time because they were impacted by what one of my previous clients had done. Right? I can't talk to them ever. So my first chance to ever get to talk with them will be cross-examining them in a trial. That's about as unfair as you can get.
So a defense counsel cannot interview or depose. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Depose. A victim or a witness.
In very rare cases, if the prosecutor allows it.
Okay.
Okay, so
interesting.
How
really?
often is that going to ever happen?
Yeah, I can't.
And then not only that, but then they also get to have, because their hands are being held, or they have their hands in law enforcement, and meaning they work with them all the time. They have relationships with them. And they have what's called a case agent that sits right by the prosecutor the whole entire time and watches each of their detectives and police and involvement, whomever was involved, in police, in a police operation. They all are doing their testifying, being cross-examined, and then this particular individual goes last and cleans up everything. So they get to hear it all. All the rest of those detectives or police officers or deputies or whatever, they're not in the trial for anything but their
piece,
their testimony.
Okay.
Yeah, and whatever that piece of the puzzle might be.
Okay.
So this person gets to sit there and put it all together and then put a little bow on it. So they put their best. They're called case agents, which basically means, he gets to clean up he or she gets to clean up everybody's mess. I find that to be incredibly lame. So knowing that you have that in front of you, you can use that to your benefit, because they try to get a little bit too slick sometimes. Oftentimes, I mean, that would be kind of that may be kind of your knee-jerk reaction. But what we have here is we have many different law enforcement wings. We have Pullman. We have Moscow. We have a FBI flavoring throughout this thing.
Yeah.
We have a drug scenario going on that was always known and very rarely talked about.
Yeah, it's alluded to, and it's there in the now that it's over, and he's sentenced, and all the document drop.
Yeah.
It's all throughout there that I saw. It's throughout there. It's mentioned. It's brushed over. It's alluded to. It's and so it's interesting.
Yeah. I understand the frustration,
but also, why, if the defense wants the plea deal and initiates that discussion, and why wouldn't they make him we need the murder weapon, or why wouldn't that be part of the deal, even if and how did you find this? Because whatever reason he gave wouldn't be enough. Kind of I just felt like killing someone, or I didn't have a good day, or whatever. Or I thought about it. I feel like that may not even matter. Like, how did you pick them? Why? When did you pick? I don't know. Just how,
Yeah, no, I understand the frustration there. And this legal thing has been nothing but kind of like the Princess Bride, get used to disappointment.
I know. It's bizarre.
And so you're going to, we talk about things that we find out and that we, are shocked by quite a bit with the cases that we have. But nobody on a jury hears, or anybody out there in the universe, if they were following this particular case that we're talking about here in our hallway,
Yeah.
isn't going to be thinking the same or going to know anywhere remotely the same thing that we know.
Right.
And
Like
so,
it's one-sided. It's a one.
but your appetite for that is curbed because you get to see these things here in our hallways.
Yeah.
Okay. But then when something happens as though you're not in a law firm's hallways, you're not in, the criminal defense, belly of the beast, and you're not seeing all these moving parts going on and intriguing things that are happening all around us all the time. When you're pulled out of that and you're stuck with a story like Koberger or Karen Reed, or there's that other Boston story as well.
Yeah. Shoot, her name.
Interesting, has a bunch of similar law enforcement relations there to the Karen Reed story and kind of a kitty wampus thing. And then you've got Diddy and you've got Epstein and all of these folks being talked about, and there's just a whole lot of we don't know. And at some point, there's a lot of folks that just kind of put up the white flag and say, I don't know who shot JFK. I don't know who. I don't know who did this. I don't know who. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know if we walked on the moon or not. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, that's okay. This is true.
And so you have a lot of folks that just kind of go, Let's go back to Koberger, though. And Koberger has all this information dump, and none of it's satisfying. It doesn't have any real good calories to it. It's not satisfying. And so you don't have really any evidence whatsoever other than the daggum snap on the gun, or excuse me, the knife.
Right.
The knife sheath. And beyond that, you don't have anything. And so it's one of those things where it's like, and we found out that he was trying to be part of the law enforcement, be a deputy, or
a volunteer,
like a volunteer,
and he wanted to also or intern to research. He'd been denied because because social work, that involves
deeply,
people.
like we talked about, though. I wonder how deeply he got into that trying to apply. Because was he already running miles with these folks? Was he already, being trained? Is he already getting maced? Is he already getting tased? Is he already getting kind of getting a little flavoring of what it looks like to be a volunteer? What might happen out there in the Wild West?
And you mentioned he might have.
And he may have
a knife for that reason.
A K-bar knife. I mean, he may have that brand of knife for that reason, and then. Did that knife disappear? Blah blah blah. I'm not big on
but we should go down
conspiracies
this. I know because I don't know on TV, but
on the
we
TV.
should, because if he can't explain where that knife went or that sheath, if it disappeared while he's there training, I don't know. I didn't see a thumbprint, or they have a partial thumbprint of that snapping that button. That doesn't make sense. You have just DNA on it. And nowhere else on that sheath? Nowhere else? Okay.
But
why didn't you ask for the murder weapon or where it was?
Because the admission is enough.
I get it for punishment.
The admission's enough.
There's, okay, yeah.
So I know how frustrating that our system is not. We hang people that are hanging on to all sorts of where the dead bodies and the gold's buried and the oil that we struck over here and all this jazz. I mean, we hung a bunch of...
Karen Reed is a perfect example, and it settled right before this.
What was a perfect example of that one?
That's a perfect example of, she probably did it. Until you just look a little closer, and then it's just a little bit different things that might stick out to certain people.
Yeah.
For me, it was the dog bite
Yep.
on his arm.
When you showed me that picture, I was like, holy crap.
I said, oh, and the data, the self or the iCloud evidence, his Apple Watch moving after the time
But she dropped him off.
that she dropped him off, flights of stairs, levels of change, and I can't remember the exact data, but it was levels change and a lot more walking, a lot more steps after, like 500 to 600.
Well, there's a lot of steps inside a house. He's moving and shaking.
Well, if he's fighting, there's an increase in heart rate
Oh.
at a specific time, like a fight. There's they just said, oh, that's just, you can't trust the data, which I can get that too. I understand that argument.
Yeah, but the dog bite
That
thing,
dog bite, though, it's fresh.
that was
fresh.
nuts.
So that made me, which I didn't look that much into that case until I saw that dog bite.
Yeah. So that got
So that
to
happens.
be flushed out a little bit. You're right. It does
And so
happen.
that was city level, state level, federal level.
Yeah. And now they're rinsing and repeating and doing it again.
And prosecutorial
Prosecutorial.
also, like not just like the brothers,
Oh,
protecting
you got
brothers.
the same prosecutor.
Yes, and they have the same prosecutor, but he's prosecuting this, and then went again a second time after her again.
Wow.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that settled right before while this Koberger. This is I was looking forward to this trial.
This thing pops in.
So now I'm like, okay, there's a world, and I believe that this kind of stuff happens, and so then that document drop after he was sentenced, because I know they hang on to stuff for a trial.
Yeah.
There's stuff I don't know. So I was hoping, but now looking through it, I don't see how they placed his car. I don't see how they placed it. I can see the timeline. I can see a murder happen. I could even agree with that timeline of murder. I don't see how they placed him with that car, or that for sure. There's 22,000 white Hyundai Elantras within that area.
Remember when I said that's the first thing I would do?
They had another person in there who had a white Elantra without a front license plate, same as him. There was another person, another police report.
You would think that there would be a lot of not front license plates in Idaho, especially Pullman or Moscow.
Yeah.
That have the comings and goings of all sorts of other states.
Exactly.
Especially the one right next to you.
Exactly.
Like it's right there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, whose is cheaper to get your license and registration out of? I don't know. So you're probably going to see whichever one is cheaper.
Like
you're going to that.
Yeah.
Or somebody from California going there, or somebody from Arizona, or somebody from Philadelphia or Maine, Arizona, Alabama, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware.
I can see an argument for both, if that makes sense. I can see an argument of how, I don't know that, I'm not saying he's not guilty. I'm saying that if we're coming from it in place of innocent until proven guilty, I see the DNA, but then again, like, you won't prove, or they won't provide DNA to test for the defense. Isn't that a requirement also, to have a...
I like our court system. Okay. I like our judicial system. It's nowhere near perfect. And I would love to think that you're innocent until proven guilty, other than the fact that it is a very human issue that we have going on here. And it's a very natural lean to consider somebody charged with something as guilty. So having a conversation with a friend that had a horrific teaching experience as a teacher, and he was accused by a couple snotty-nosed high school gals, and accused of looking at something in front of him, and he didn't do it.
He hadn't done it.
He hadn't done it. He didn't do it. The police took his phone. The police, he got 86 off he can't go back onto any campus. He can't get a job. He can't do this. He can't. I mean, he is completely wrecked, and yet the police department cleared him of all things, of all charges, because
after they went through his phone.
After they went through his phone and found 0 on anything, right?
Yes.
But yet, publicly and professionally, he is dead.
Yeah.
Like, what does he do? He's stuck at start now. He's like,
Imagine that
you
being
know, my
national,
age.
a national story.
He's my age, and it's kind of like the Mann Act. It's kind of like all we
Yes.
hear about Diddy, and then they file the Mann Act, which I don't believe that's going to go anywhere. What the Mann Act is basically it's kind of a Me Too scenario, but it came out some years ago.
So he's saying that they filed his original charges under the Mann Act.
Right. And the Mann Act is flawed. And so the Mann Act it was enacted when, a man, a fellow, crosses state lines with someone underage. There's your Mann Act. Okay? Well, let's say you got a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old. Let's say Reed has a crush on, a 17-year-old girl that just graduated high school and is in one of his college classes, and he has a crush on her, and they decide to go from, he decides to go over to New Mexico and visit Gallup because that's a fantastic place to visit. And
he shook his head no.
Well, what if she were hot?
Fake news.
Well, I'm sure it's fake news.
Oh my gosh,
I'm making
okay.
the story up. I made that pretty clear.
Especially not the Gallup part.
That's what the part that you were shaking your head at.
He's shaking
That's
his
the
not
part he was like,
Gallup.
oh, heck no, not that.
Gallup.
Yeah, not Gallup.
Jeez. You have way better taste than that.
Okay.
I'm going to Purgatory,
now
Colorado.
I want to go to Gallup. I want to see. He's looking.
Anyway.
Okay.
So so that would be trafficking under the Mann Act.
Okay, and that's
the
just
Mann
not
Act's been
trafficking.
Right. And the Mann Act's been kind of tossed. It led to the Me Too. All right. And the Me Too is just kind of like, okay, every woman needs to be believed. Well, what we found out with Me Too is that's not so. And there are your cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs out there. And come to find out, a whole lot of them.
Well, we had one. We didn't have one. We had a case with one, and who truly was.
We've had a few. But
we
that
represented somebody against
Yeah.
one like that. There's real victims out there,
I was bothered by that case badly. But
I know,
winning
it's
and
like-
then having winning the case was one thing. That was fantastic for a minute, especially winning it with all the blue hairs in the room, like the dyed blue and the rings on the face where they shouldn't be, and they're my age.
Look,
Professors and administrators at the ASU, like there's no way you're going to get a fair shake
No.
with this mind, with this lean, but we still won. And
because there's no evidence.
we were able to beat it in their minds, and that was fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, because she was uncredible, or discreditable. What's the word? Discredited.
She wasn't credible.
Perfect.
Uncredible.
Incredible.
We're making up words, and I like it.
It makes sense. Incredible and uncredible.
You got a point. I'm going to use that.
It's okay. It
That's
makes sense.
uncredible.
It's uncredible. That is not
Incredible.
okay.
That is crap.
Okay.
Uncredible.
Yes.
I love it.
Uncredible evidence.
It's uncredible evidence. You heard it first here.
You heard it first.
You heard it first here. P-Dog. Okay, so what we got here is, so you're going to get used to disappointment. So Karen Reed had to try a case twice over a jury not being advised very well on a DUI matter.
Right.
I mean, are you kidding me? How much money that had to have cost her and all that jazz and time
us
and
as a taxpayer, which
yeah.
okay, but anyway.
Yeah, that too.
Anyway, yeah,
There's a
but-
lot of things missing here.
But because they're protecting the law enforcement.
Well, we'll see. I mean, again, what
Or-
we learn here with Koberger is there's so many things that can confuse by a little twist here and a little nudge here and a little tweak
and
there.
a little leak here in the news.
Yes.
And a little
There you go.
leak here to Dateline.
Yeah.
Or a little,
dirty
you know.
laundry. So we hear that this guy is in and out in 13 minutes or less. No, it might not be so.
For 4 people?
Right. That might not. That's not even in any of these things. It's like crazy.
Why would they? Why? And I really don't know. I really don't understand why this person would kill 4 people and leave 2 survivors. One which he encountered walking out the door.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't understand.
Right,
And
I
they
understand.
said he had a container. He was holding a container.
Right. Now we have drug allegations and we have speculations and we have, I told you at the very beginning of this, something seems wrong about this house.
You did say that.
Something seems wrong about this house and what's going on therein.
And
know
yes.
being all fancy with my language right now, but I want to not be uncredible. I want to be I want to be a little bit credible. Look, it's something is afoot. When there's smoke, there's fire. And so I don't know what's going on in that house, but I don't think it was reputable. I don't think it was something that you want your sweet baby girl doing.
Yeah.
While they're off at college. I
don't
believe
kids
that.
Do
I
that.
don't know.
It's big business. That's the point. That's a good point there. That's big money business.
So is prostitution, and they're doing that in
I'm not even
everywhere.
talking about the moral or the a lot of kids do that, or a lot of people do that at college, drugs, and I'm not making a judgment on that in this discussion. But the blue powder on the bedside table, whatever their personal choices, but obviously one was like what happened that there was a beating so hard
you couldn't unrecognizable.
Yeah, the cop said I could not comprehend what I was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
He was staring at this.
Well,
this
and that
scene.
glove that everybody walked by.
Yes. There's DNA on
I know
blood
it's gonna get her.
on a glove that was sitting outside the house
But
and
that's
on the
That's
railing.
incredible.
And the railing on the inside, 2 different profiles. And they didn't dig in there and dig into all the different genealogy places to find that evidence. And why wouldn't they? Because why wouldn't they want to prosecute those 2 people or understand, at least talk to them?
You get sassy when you get worked up. I like it.
Well, it's outrageous.
You and the Don Trump
It's outrageous.
want to know what the heck, where's the murder weapon? Why did you do this? Why this? And I totally get that. I totally understand it. And what makes it worse is those little teasers and twisters.
Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered.
That's going on in the media as well. So you get people make, look, Law and Order did make a lot of money years ago for a long, long run.
Mm-hmm.
And Dateline's still running strong after zillions of years. These things really are intriguing and really do get under the fingernails and get just kind of, it's like something in your shoe that you can't get to.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to just sit there and walk with it at the zoo with your kid or something. And you just, and it's just like every step you're reminded of it. It's literally, that's what's going on. And that's what these types of things play on. It's not as neat and it's not as pretty and it's not as great in real life as far as you watch that Law and Order what we started out with.
Right.
And it's all tied up in an hour, cute little bow. And
with a case that had already happened in the news.
Right.
Like that was already cleaned up and they just reenacted.
And so it's kind of like listening to a podcast on 3 times the speed.
Yeah.
Which if I could understand people, I would probably do that. But I need to just hear them at their own pace because I'm not sharp enough to kind of listen to them.
You probably actually
fast forward.
hear that.
Maybe.
You could hear 2 different conversations going on at the same time. One at 15 speed, one at 3.
That is not true.
Or maybe 3 conversations and 1 at regular. Keep up with all 3.
You think, huh?
Yeah, I do.
I don't
Possibly.
know. I don't think that. But I will say that it's interesting that that's what makes that TV show entertaining.
Sure.
And oftentimes what we know here is incredibly entertaining because it's real. And it's like, wow. And then sometimes it's dull. It's like, wait, what? That's all? I mean, and they're getting this and that thrown at them? And
in Law and Order, I got to say, I mean, one of the it just popped in my head, one of the key differences is sometimes in those episodes, the prosecutor would realize that this person probably didn't do it, actually. Or this person might, or he realizes something is wrong with the case or just something, like this person actually didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he no longer pursued that any further. He let it go. Like he worked to do, so it's just about the right thing.
Yeah.
And so nowadays, I just thought that there's a lot less of that kind of a thing. I know that kind of stuff can happen, but the Karen Reed thing really irked me and made me think about be a lot more open to other realities everywhere. Because how does that even develop? That a culture gets so...
A culture of corruption. Whoa, like that kind of thing? here's how it works. Most of the time, you don't have that. Okay. Most of the time, you have acrimony. That means
Yeah.
one person's pissed off at another. That's acrimony. You have acrimony between law enforcement and not the defense, the prosecution. So let's think about that in maybe Epstein or Diddy's terms,
Okay.
right? All right. Law enforcement busted their can to get all sorts of evidence for whatever they were going for, bad stuff that was going on with the puffy. And they, raid his homes and get all this information and get all this,
Yeah.
and they turn it over to a prosecutor. And the prosecutor elects to charge him with A, B, C, D.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And there's likely quite a few law enforcement fellows that are like, "The Sam are you doing? We have L-amino P in the bag. We have,
Yes. Okay,
we
now
have
I'm back on this.
EFG perfectly set up. Why are you doing this?"
Why?
And
Yeah, why do
because
they?
prosecutors have a different agenda at times. If something gets political or if something gets a little bit bigger. I
It's an
don't know
agenda.
about Koberger. I
Yeah.
know that I feel like there's some speculation
Well-
on two fronts here. Number
Okay.
one, you want safety in the community. That's a lot of
Of
pressure
course.
of safety in the community.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure because you're losing a whole bunch of students and they're
Absolute.
panicking. Okay.
And they, yeah.
All right. There's safety in the community. And then I also speculate, and this is just mine, there's probably a pretty good sized drug problem in that community. You've got two pretty good sized universities, dead nuts next to each other, and you've got a lot of drug movement going on. And I
Yeah.
don't know who's involved with what. It would all be pure speculation. But it seemed weird to me that you have something like this go down that's this atrocious and vicious. And you have kind of an individual that it was pinned on. And this individual seems to not fit that profile. In
And-
some people's eyes and in other people's eyes, he totally does. So
Yeah,
there you
because
have the shooting
he-
match.
Sure. Okay, so every business, knowing this about business, being involved in business, every business wants to win and be the best at what they're doing, right? Or,
That's why everybody needs to subscribe to our channel.
well, we have good stuff. We actually we can stand behind this. Like, we have quality. So if Moscow police wants to solve this for any number of reasons, doesn't matter, but definitely to not look stupid, they're willing to let the FBI in and have help and stuff. They want to solve this. They want to get it, they want to win at this thing. And also the safety, they have a lot responsibility.
What did we learn with OJ? Let's go back in time, back when you were a real little girl.
Yeah, I didn't
We
follow the
learned-
details of that case.
We learned from OJ
Even
just
I
a
followed
little
the case.
tweak and a little turn, a little corruption here or a little mess up even.
a little misspoken,
A little
or a little lie
misspoken,
here.
little
Mhm.
misspoken, a little mess up, little slip up, little screw up, little what did you call it?
Uncredible.
Uncredible, something uncredible.
Uncredible moment.
An uncredible moment.
Mm-hmm.
So by the law enforcement there, and the glove didn't fit. In the end, they had to acquit. Okay, so that never should have gotten there.
After all that,
Most
that one little
people
thing.
believe that OJ did it. Most people do to this day.
I
But
know.
he got away with whatever in most people's mind. Okay.
You had an interesting theory about that, which I'd never
my
thought
mind,
of. But,
in my mind, okay, but not to be uncredible. Here we go here we have a small little screw up, and let's just say that it's not. Let's say it's intentional. Okay, let's take Karen Reed's case, for example. You have a whole lot of folks that look like it doesn't look good for them, for that law enforcement team or the attorney. It looks like they all hang out. There seems to be a pretty good sized connection. Now that there's a second case, and there seems to be now a pattern that we can all see. That's kind of strange.
yes, I cannot.
The pattern is really hard to argue with. Now you're starting to get to see
Same
a
detective,
pattern,
same prosecutor.
same prosecutor, same prosecuting attorney, same. Okay, this is now looking pretty ugly. Okay, I get that. Epstein, Diddy. What's up with the Epstein thing? Back in 2006, Epstein took this light little tiny plea agreement with a misdemeanor and was let off, and he was accused of all sorts of stuff. What did law enforcement want him for? What did government want him for? Why was he so prominent? How did he make all his money, da 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 da. And
Uh-huh.
did he kill himself? Did he not? And these little things can twist on, frankly, some interests of somebody. Like, for example, like I was going to say the Karen Reed thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, somebody wanted to pin this on this gal, Karen Reed. Period. End of story. They wanted to make her a Patsy.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Idaho, was Kohlberger a Patsy? I don't know.
I don't know either.
And so, Reed, you might want to name this the Patsies of the day, because and then
Ooh,
put
that's good.
the Patsies of the day. We're off
hear
to
that?
find the Patsies of the day.
Because maybe he did it. But
Maybe he did, but he did something stupid, but he didn't do what he was charged with. And so then you've got Epstein. That's an interesting thing, because the reality is everybody's making this very big deal out of it, but we made a very big deal out of JFK. And here we are kind of not knowing the ins
we
and
still
outs
don't
of the
know.
JFK.
Yeah, we never will.
Epstein,
But-
how important is it for everybody to know? I don't know how important it is for everybody to know. I don't know what the unintended consequences might be with the release of some of this information. I do know that having handled sex cases, most victims would never want to be identified.
Right.
And so there isn't all these activists out there that just want justice for these victims. Who's to say these victims haven't been helped and gotten as much justice as they possibly could get, given what transpired? That's
it's
the
a weird
question,
thing.
because you would never know.
People, I think, are wondering if Trump is in it. Right?
Yeah. There's one way you know that's not the case. That's uncredible.
Well, I can know him and know that
Oh,
that
wait,
would have
hold
been
on.
used against him
Right.
a long dang time ago.
Yeah.
So, because he was not the first one to know about these
Right.
files, he was not the first one to.
Right.
So
So if he's in this thing,
Automatically-
even a piggy toe, it
it would have been.
would be out. So now there might be a caveat to that, a small caveat that, okay, well, if what's the collateral damage if it's not just Trump, it's
Trump is not stupid. Like, so whatever the consequence, he understands the much broader picture somehow, which I'm not saying he is the only guy. I'm not saying he's like an angel. I'm saying you can trust him.
well, Ghislaine
And-
Maxwell had said that he had nothing to do with anything
Right.
illegal at all.
Right, and that
So,
makes sense.
Okay, and there's
a lot of people
that's
who
pretty
probably
heavy, and there's a lot of people that were close to that. Like Dershowitz was his attorney. Alan Green was
Epstein.
Epstein's attorney back in 2006,
Okay,
and he said that no, there was nothing inappropriate going on between Epstein and Trump. He was speculating. He speculates much was going on with Clinton.
there's
And
pictures.
many other
yeah.
people.
Have you seen the
because
picture?
there was, and
Recent
It's awesome.
girl massaging his back, Bill Clinton.
Oh,
It's
nice.
so creepy. It's so gross. It's a picture of Bill Clinton, like,
That's
and
so
she's getting a
gross.
massage, and she's,
A girl massaging is this so gross?
it's a young woman. It's a young woman,
it's
an
a li-
underage.
it's a young
Yes,
underager.
it's one of the
Oh,
victims.
That's too bad. I didn't know about that. No.
Yeah, it's a photo somehow released, recently. It's not doctored. It's like, I mean,
Well,
it's
they're
not
just letting
it's so
Clinton
interesting.
age out to where he's almost dead, and then what are you going to do to him anyway? Mike and Obama are gonna probably going to get. There's going to be the big D, and don't mean Dallas, but anyway.
Dana, what?
What? You can
What?
edit that out later. Anyway,
Okay.
and so Big Mike, Big D. So you're going to be a little bit disappointed oftentimes
Yeah.
here in the real world, because we're not going to know where the weapon is unless Kohlberger decides to give a tell-all type thing or whatever the case might be. So, and let's say worst case scenario is Kohlberger doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just saying guilty because there's so much evidence,
Well,
and
yeah.
and I don't want to die by
There was no that was going to trial. They tried every single thing that they could to go to trial, and or to not go to trial, or to push it out a little further. They were still exploring. The defense was tips that I saw myself in those reports that I would need time, and I don't know how long that kind of stuff takes, FOIA requests and uncovering.
I'm going to say that the case drug on for 3 years. So why they didn't have that way beforehand?
Because the prosecution hadn't. They were just slowly trickling over the discovery.
Okay, I've had that happen.
That was a big. She was ordered. She tried to compel several times.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm.
No,
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
So So I can see a world, and that, this is coming down the line. It is happening, and he is
the DNA on the snap really hurt. I'm gonna say
course,
that
yeah.
probably was the nail in the coffin.
And of course, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm gonna go with that. That's pretty good evidence right there. The nail in the coffin, in my opinion, is that. Why they didn't chase down other leads prior to having that, I don't know.
Like an
why
accomplice,
they didn't
even if
look
he had
at what I'm looking at first, and we've discussed this, but I want to jump from Kohberger and get back to Epstein and Diddy,
Okay.
The older versions of this. But I like the fact that Kohberger is an interesting study because you have like so much intrigue around the intrigue. There's intrigue, the unknowing.
Exactly,
like why,
yeah.
The why of it all. The how, okay, fine. Most people can get their arms around the how. The why. And then somebody that likely has a zero to do with anything to do with that house is very strange, because apparently there would be a lot, or potentially there could be, and how would we find out? I'll let you know in a minute. There could be a lot of interest in this house that just mysteriously got torn down.
When it got turned back over to the university.
So interesting. It just got turned on down, just torn on down, just kind of like
A
Karen
trial
Reed's
is coming. They have a suspect who
Right.
is
This is
on
so
track for
strange.
a trial.
Yeah, and it's so strange.
It's not like they don't have anybody,
Yeah.
and they don't know when they'll find it. They don't know. Like, they have someone on track for
It
trial.
is so strange. It is so strange because
It's so sketchy.
It's sketch.
And so when
That is not.
they keep saying he drove by the morning of the murder, they didn't release any security camera of that from the same house that they say.
He agreed to that one though.
No, I don't
When
think
they
he
read,
did.
I think they did when he read the factual basis.
Well, they also said he was guilty. He also said he was guilty in 17. The Innocence Project, the stats are that 17% of prisoners that are exonerated later pled guilty to their crime. People false confess. People, in order to get this deal,
17%. That's actually not bad.
in order to get a deal to save his life, this was going to trial.
Look, I'm not that. I've seen that, and I understand that.
So, and their case was not as public, maybe,
Right, sure.
or as, and so it just, the other defects caused me to question the DNA, or how that was, what exactly. And then I can see an alternate theory of,
Yeah.
because if there is a drug situation going on, I just myself personally believe that police and the university together are also involved, or looking the other way. In order for
And
a
so
ring like
back
that
to my
too.
point, what I was trying to say was it only takes a little bit. It doesn't take a ton of corruption. It only takes a little bit. So you have this particular officer over here that just kind of slides that
Yep.
over here, or this particular
Yeah.
prosecutor over here that just kind of bends this over this way. And so it
And one
doesn't
that
take.
you just go with the flow, or you go
Right.
with what your superiors.
Well, I mean, look, if you're in a small town, police department, and let's say that the small town has a big drug problem, there's going to be some corruption in law enforcement.
what about in the university? If it
There's
is with
going to be some corruption in the university.
the sororities and the fraternities.
There's going to be a lot of corruption there.
So would the
I
house
don't know
be
if you call that
destroyed?
corruption, but would the house be destroyed?
By-
Absolutely ridiculous that house was destroyed. Absolutely ridiculous.
with a trial on track.
Yeah.
On the,
I mean, I
on the
can see it
way.
after the trial. Totally get it.
Yeah.
But not before. Kind of like the whole, we're remodeling because we're selling the house and getting rid of the dog with the Karen Reed. Or you've got, you know, in my opinion, a real issue with those that did the investigation on the Puffy Diddy and those that tried it, or those that were the prosecution of it. That happens more than not. Most of the time you've got law enforcement that cannot stand their prosecutor. They don't want, they want to just say, this is what I found. The facts are these. Boom, boom, boom. They don't want to spin. They don't want to, you know, they're not looking for a narrative. They did their investigation. They did their work. It's this.
Yeah, so he was charged with a RICO Act, and apparently he is motioning, or made a motion for a retrial or a
under the Mann Act that's been repealed.
because his charges do not fall under the Mann Act like they were originally charged.
Right.
Which I just wonder why were they charged that way by a federal prosecutor in such a public place, such a public. Are they stupid? Are they?
I'm not going to go stupid. I'm going to go with, you get a little bit cocksure.
RICO.
Suave.
Which you immediately said, you know, there's no RICO here.
Right.
And then Mark Garagos whose daughter represented him, said there is no RICO here. And the defense didn't even put on a defense.
Right.
Because they didn't feel the need. There was no nothing
need to.
Yeah.
Right. That's Stones, by the way.
I know you said that.
Yeah, that's Stones.
So if it's that well known,
it's not that well known. That's why I'm saying it. It's not well known at all. It's it's a charge. It's a criminal charge.
So it takes a real good defense attorney to understand and see something like that immediately.
Well, back when I was, maybe, but I mean, at the end of the day, it just is what it is. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is when you know what you're doing and what to look for. Yeah, you see that's a conspiratorial type of crime that you can't conspire with yourself.
Yeah.
That's
and these are grown women.
There are plenty of crimes
consenting.
that you can get him for with himself, but just not the conspiratorial type. Also with the Karen Reed, that now you have a pattern, it seems, within the same area with the same people. Now, okay, we're starting to get a little bit. That's creepy. What you have over here in Idaho, not so much. What you have over with Diddy, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's a big, huge, fat, hairy distraction, and Diddy was kind of a. Who cares about Diddy? Other than Yeet, I don't know. I don't know, and so who cares? He's a dirtbag, so why not just tie him up for a little bit and have everybody look over here while they're ignoring other things? I don't really know, but it certainly was a mess to have a case of that high profile crumble in the prosecutor's face, like crumble. They didn't even put a defense on anything that was of huge worth.
Yeah, they just responded. They just cross-examined the prosecution's stuff, right?
That's it.
And then literally.
So that's just the biggest spike the football. It's just the biggest sniff job. Just, yep, you suck. And they do. And they did. Epstein, are we ever going to know? Has there been much ado about this? It's getting almost hysterical at this point by some folks. And I don't really see the big need to know that Epstein was this real bad man or this, that, or the other. I think people want to root out corruption. I understand that. But I also think there's some unintended consequences with the whole Epstein thing. And that could be talked about for loops and loops and years and years and years to go. I hope the right thing just kind of gets found and we can move on from the topic. But the reality here is justice doesn't fit. It doesn't it doesn't touch all the bases. It doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies. It's a frustrating thing to want to know why Kohlberger did you. Why did these guys try to frame this chick? I mean, this is for murder. Why did these two teenagers say that this was on, my friend's phone? Why? Well, I'm never going to know. I don't know what these two teenagers are going through. I don't know what kind of fun they're trying to have or what kind of, mayhem they're trying to get into. I don't understand. I don't feel like they're these evil two little gals or three little, how many there were. I don't think that they're evil. Oh, watch this. I think
They're drama.
I think they were, yes.
They're just drama.
They're looking for a little attention or something. I don't know.
Or they
But
overthought
I
something.
don't know if you've got Idaho and, a couple of deputies in Idaho that are knee deep into the drug running. I don't know what's uncredible or not. All I know is we got ourselves a very we have a system that isn't satisfying all the time. And we're just going to have to eat that.
It's not very satisfying.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Just no answers. I just don't get it.
You and Trump.
Everybody. Why?
Okay, but I just like to put you and Trump.
I know.
I
love that he tried. I was so what's the word? Justified. I was so like, yeah, okay.
Even the
good.
president.
I'm good. Yeah.
All right, I think
so
we're
validated. Done. That's what I was. All right. What?
We're done.
Oh, we're done. Peace.